What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Jackal Gold Games. So in this video, I'm going to be doing a review for the video game that I played, completed, and platinumed on PS4, and that game is the Dark Pictures Little Hope. So I'm going to give my opinion on this game, tell you what I think of it. I even streamed it a lot on the channel. So my opinion, what I think of this game, well, I enjoyed this game, to be honest with you. The premise of the game, to sum it up real quick, is you play as these five characters: Daniel, Taylor, Andrew, John, and Angela. John is the college professor. He's one of the older in the group. He's the leader of the group. I think he's a really solid character, to be honest with you. He's my favorite character in the game. Strong leader, really cool, great voice actor, like his design. You also have Angela, who's one of the older ones, but she's a college student. Her and John have really good chemistry. I don't mind her as a character. You have Daniel, who's in a relationship with Taylor. I don't mind him. I think he's cool. He can be jokey at times, but I like him as a character. Good voice actor, good character. You also have Taylor, which I can deal with her, but she definitely is my least favorite of the cast because I don't really agree with her always splitting up from the group. And, I think they should just stay together as a group. And she can't be the nicest at times, but I can deal with her. But if I had to pick least favorite, I would say she is. Then you also have Andrew, who is another favorite of mine, who is mocapped after Will Poulter. You see on the front cover. He's a great character. He's the young, student, but he's smart and makes good decisions. And he's like the hero, the young guy. He's basically the main character, and that's your cast of characters. This bus crashes, and they're getting out of the bus crash, going through this little hope town, trying to find answers, trying to figure out what's going on. And they deal with some of the creatures that show up. You got to make sure your characters live. They can also die. There's decisions in the game you can make. You can have characters with good relationships or bad relationships. You can have characters go on certain paths. Angela can go with Daniel and Taylor, or she can go with John and Andrew in this one part. So you got different decisions. The characters can either live or they can die. You have different endings in the game as well. There's trophies to get to with any PS4 game. Visually, I think the game looks really good. I like the graphics of the game a lot. It's nice. The voice acting in the game, I think, is pretty solid. I also like the curator character. I think he's pretty cool as well. He's like the narrator. He has a pretty cool intro with great music. The voice actor for him is really good. So your gameplay is basically walk around, check collectibles, read those, interact with characters, make dialogue decisions. There's heart and head options as well. There's some combat, though it's mild. There's a part where John's using a sledgehammer, which is a great part against an enemy to save himself. This was a lot of characters. Daniel has to fight against an enemy of his. The enemies are based off of the characters that you're playing as that they're fighting. So the creature with the spears is Daniel from the past that died. Same with the creature that goes after John, because there's another part of the story. You've got this prequel story where it's the 1600s, and they jumped the gun on thinking there was witchcraft in their community based on what this little girl said, but she was being manipulated by the Reverend, and he was putting all this together. One by one, the copies of the characters were dying, and they were seeing it. So first it was Amy, who was the clone of Angela, and the creature of her that died is the one that goes after Angela with the chains on it. Same thing with Joseph when he gets killed in the past. Same thing with Daniel when he gets killed in the past. Same thing with Taylor, who was Tabitha in the past. You see these, it's pretty interesting. The acting in those scenes are good. The graphics and stuff like that is pretty nice. I do like that story of the witch trials and the past and the mistakes they made and not really having evidence for that stuff. And now it haunts this town. You also have this other story going on where the main point of the game at the beginning, where you play as Anthony and it's his family. You got Dennis, you got his dad, you got his mom, and you got Megan, and they're in this house. There's some conflict in the family, tension. It's not the happiest family. And there's a fire that starts. Megan does it. I think there's some witchcraft involved, and everybody dies but Anthony. And Spoiler alert, eventually at the end of this game, you find out that the twist is that it's all in his head. So all these characters he's seeing, like John, who's a imagination of his father, Daniel, who's imagination of his brother Dennis, which I'm talking about Anthony here, who is the bus driver, Taylor, who's an imagination of his sister, and then Angela, who is imagination of his mom. It's all in his head. You imagined all of this. Now, I'm kind of conflicted on the twist and ending of this game because I feel bad for the character. It's very tragic and sad. It shows you how traumatic it was for him. But on the other hand, it's like you go through all this stuff saving these characters and it doesn't even matter because they're not even real. So I'm conflicted on the twist, to be honest with you. But the environments in this game I think are really cool. I like the Little Hope town. I like some of the wooded areas, the factory, the burnt down house, the areas you see in the past in the 1600s, the museum, the police station, the grocery store. The environments in this game are really cool. I do like them. I think the gameplay of switching between the characters like John, Andrew, Taylor, Daniel, that stuff is really cool. And, being able to let the characters live is nice because The Walking Dead Telltale, which is the first I've played of this kind of genre, you didn't have that much flexibility, to be honest. So it's nice you have it in this one. You also have the Creator's Cut, which is a different version of the story where same story, but you play as different characters. So instead of starting with Daniel, or instead of starting with John, Andrew, and Taylor at the bus, you play as Daniel and Taylor. You play as Daniel and Angela and go on their path, or you play as Taylor in the bar instead of John, or you play as John in the museum instead of Andrew. There's a lot of changes like that. So it was pretty cool to see that. I did like it. You have different endings in the game. Like there's one where everybody dies at the house and Andrew shoots himself in the head. You have an ending where he gets arrested if you're mean to Vince and your characters die. And then you have the good ending where everybody lives. But I enjoyed this game, to be honest with you. I thought the Dark Pictures anthology Little Hope was solid. I'm currently playing Man of Medan. I will do a first impressions for that. I have not played the others, but based on what I played so far, I would say this is my favorite. Because I liked the cast for the most part. I thought the visuals were impressive. I thought the locations were nice. And I just really liked it, and I enjoyed playing this, getting the platinum for it. I'm trying to think about what else I could say. I mean, the creatures are pretty cool. I like the option of choices. I need to play more of these like choice-based games, making decisions. That's for sure. There's like conflict in the group. Like sometimes Taylor doesn't agree with the stuff John says, but they try to work together as a team. But I enjoyed my time overall with this game. So I would say that's my review of the game. It's pretty good. So if you played this game, let me know what you think of it in the comments. That's it for this review. Peace out.